On a fine morning of September 11, 2001, people walking on the streets of New York watched an accident. Yes, an accident. A commercial plane hitting the North Tower of the World Trade Center.
A plane has crashed into the World Trade Center in New York. That happened within the last few minutes.
A big explosion has just occurred. Everyone is running from the entire financial district now. The smoke is filling the entire area. Let's go!
This just in, you were looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning
that a plane.
People thought that the pilot might get a heart attack while flying the plane. At 7:59 a.m. on September 11, 2001, Flight 11 of American Airlines departed from Logan International Airport, Boston, to Los Angeles International Airport, with 11 crew members and 81 passengers. After 15 minutes, it was realized that 5 out of these 81 passengers were hijackers, headed by their wing leader, Mohammed Atta. They intruded into the cockpit. Mohammed Atta, trained as a pilot, took over control from the pilot. At the same time, another plane, Flight 175, took off from the same airport. And this too was routed towards Los Angeles International Airport. Just after 28 minutes of its departure, it also got hijacked by 5 hijackers. Till this time, the direction of the first aircraft had been altered toward New York City. Just after 5 minutes, at 8:46 a.m., Flight 11 was deliberately crashed into the north face of the World Trade Center's North Tower.
We believe that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center in New York. That happened within the last few moments. No details at this stage as to what sort of...
Inside Edition's Matt Mahar was one of the first reporters on the scene.
Hey, a big explosion has just occurred. Everyone is running from the entire financial district now. The smoke is filling the entire area. Let's go. Come on, go, Brad, go. Stop shooting, Brad, go.
Initially, it was presumed by many that this was merely an accident. President Bush, at that time, was traveling to visit a primary school in Florida. He was on the way when he received this news from Andrew Card, the Chief of Staff at White House.
Said, "Sir, it appears a small twin-engine prop plane crashed into one of the towers at the World Trade Center in New York City." Our collective response was, "Oh, what a horrible accident. The pilot must have had a heart attack or something."
At 9:03 a.m., the second hijacked aircraft, Flight 175, was flown into the South Tower's southern facade.
It came in like a spear. It just speared through the building like a fireball.
During this time, Andrew Card entered the class and whispered to President Bush, "America is under attack." President Bush did not respond immediately and stayed in the classroom for another 7 minutes, interacting and taking photographs with children. These 7 minutes were very crucial. News had spread, and people all over the world were watching live as aircraft crashed into the 2 monumental buildings in New York. While these things were unfolding, news arrived that 2 more planes were hijacked. These were American Airlines Flight 77, which was boarding from Washington International Airport to Los Angeles, and United Airlines Flight 93, which departed from New Jersey, and headed toward San Francisco International Airport. Both flights were turned toward Washington, D.C. At 9:37 a.m., Flight 77 crashed at the west wall of the Pentagon, another iconic building, the headquarters of the United States Department of Defense.
Looks like it went in the Pentagon.
At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower building completely collapsed because of explosions and fire. Till this time, the airspace of the United States had been shut down. All the boarding planes were ordered to land at their nearest airports. The fourth hijacked plane, Flight 93, was still in the air, creating fear, as it was being assumed that it would crash either at the White House or Capitol Hill. It was said that after the hijacking, people on this plane turned on their mobile phones and started to receive messages from their relatives about what was happening in the United States. They'd take no time to conclude that their plane, too, will crash at an important place. They decided to fight back and overpower the hijackers. It is not clear what happened in that aircraft after that. Recordings are there, but not very clear. Because of the courage they showed, this plane crashed in an empty field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, at 10:03 a.m. At 10:28 a.m., the North Tower of the World Trade Center also collapsed. The glory of New York, the highest buildings of the time, had been transformed into debris. More than 3,000 people died in this terror attack, and about 6,000 people were injured. It was suspected that the mastermind behind these attacks was Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda. But, some days later, bin Laden denied these allegations and his responsibility. But 3 years later, a public tape was released by Al Jazeera, in which Osama bin Laden appeared to the world and claimed responsibility for these attacks. He tried to justify these attacks by referring to many things, like the interference of the U.S. in the Middle East, the U.S. support for Israel, sanctions against Iraq, the U.S. collaboration with Saudi Arabia, and many more. He said that this terror attack was executed to teach the U.S. a lesson. 9/11 Commission report pointed to a Pakistani terrorist Khalid Sheikh Mohammed as the principal architect of these attacks. This person was also involved in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. He and 4 other of his co-members were later arrested and transferred to the Guantanamo Bay jail, where they are still undergoing trials. A manhunt was started to capture Osama bin Laden. It took almost 10 years for the U.S. when Osama bin Laden got killed in a compound at Abbottabad, Pakistan, by U.S. Navy SEALs in an operation. Operation Neptune Spear.